So we are told that entrepreneurship is all about ideas, strategy, and hustle. But what if it was also about survival? About building something that will hold you when the system doesn't? This conversation with Nadine, a coach, a mentor, and a builder of support networks across continents, it's not a how to start a business. It's a how to on standing tall when rules aren't meant for you. Because behind every business plan, there's a woman trying to balance her emotional system. And behind every pitch deck, there's someone who has had to reinvent their notion of confidence. Nadine has seen it all, from Switzerland to sub-Saharan Africa to Asia. And she knows that a woman cannot succeed in a vacuum. We'll talk how support systems matter, how stereotypes still bite, and what really means to lead without losing oneself. This isn't just about entrepreneurship. It's about redefining power, one conversation at a time. Welcome, everybody. This is No Wonder. And today we're here with Nadine Reichenthal, a professor or former professor of University of Geneva and Lausanne. But I'd rather her introducing herself. You can have the full picture of the great profile that she has.
Okay, so Nadine Reichenthal, so just to be absolutely clear, so now I am 70 years old, so it's a lot of time that have been passed to me to work in the area of IT and entrepreneurship. So I had the opportunity to work for the innovation program of Switzerland that was called Ventula. And after I started to work for University of Lausanne and started to make the entrepreneurship courses and the accelerator, just to help the new companies to get in. And also I had the opportunity to work for a UN program, which is called International Trade Center. And we are developing a digital program for emerging countries in Asia, Southeast Asia, and Africa. So that's what I've been doing in the last 10 years, going from Switzerland to very remote places in Africa. And that's always, you can mix what is happening in Bangladesh compared to what is happening in Zurich. Maybe sometime it's really funny because the problem are not at all the same. And then you will see during the conversation how things are so different. So if you want to ask new question, Honorine, you are welcome.
First of all, I would like to explain why we're here today. So the people that listen to No Wonder are kind of understanding what the podcast is about. But the conversation of today is, of course, about entrepreneurship. But I would like to say that it's not about entrepreneurship on just how to start a business, but it's more on how to stand on your own two feet as a woman in a context that maybe, and that's what we're gonna understand today, potentially wasn't built directly for us. And to begin this conversation, I would like to bring to you a quote that I quote from various data on the internet. And the question that I wanted to ask you, let's say the data point that I would like to open the conversation with, sounds something like only 2% of global venture capital goes to women founders. And yet, women-led businesses consistently deliver higher returns. So the question is, isn't that women cannot succeed, but how can they survive in a system that is not designed for them?
So, I was born in France and I came in Switzerland later. So you have just to imagine that a woman couldn't open the bank account in France before 1965. And in Switzerland, she couldn't, as a married woman, she couldn't open the bank account until 1988. So you can see that the system was not at all designed for women because the man was the chief of the family and they couldn't. So, it's not a long time that women are able to take care of their own businesses, as we can say. So the system was not designed, but now you have also women financing other women. So this is something that have changed. It changed slowly. It's like putting, an olive tree. It takes a long time that before you have the olive to make the oil.
Why do you think today, the day and age of today, is especially urgent for women in entrepreneurship?
So, in fact, urgent, I don't know, but it's just the time because in most countries the woman cannot refer to a man to be able to have the income. So it means that you have a lot of divorcee women, and especially, for example, in Africa where the women are alone, it means that they need to be able to take care of themselves, to take care of the kids. So that's really what have changed the last centuries, that the women are now in charge of themselves.
Of course, another trend of the day and age that you mentioned you've been working your whole career is digitalization. So, how do you see AI or remote working affecting the women entrepreneur today?
I was always astonished when I started, when I left University of Lausanne in 1975, I was one of the first women to work in IT, digitalization. And during 10 or 15 years, it was a lot of women working in computer science and coding. And suddenly, these women disappeared and were changed by men, the idea of the geek, the guy which is making, in this cave, just working on the thing. And if it is something that women can do, what is make the difference between men and women is the strengths. And computer AI digitalization doesn't need any strengths. It's just something which is in your brain. So for me, this is absolutely the good moment for women because it doesn't take strengths to be able to use all these digitalization tools.
And what would you see as the most pressing issue currently that could make or break the next generation of women founders?
You know, what I see today, but it's getting out of entrepreneurship. It's going more, on something that I don't like, but I see, this kind of men that think that they want to be over women. It's something like you seem that the men seems to have. So I forgot the name in English, but it's really that men thinks they should put something against women, and it's happening now. And this is something I cannot understand because the equality we speak about equity. Everybody have something the same way, or and equality is something there. So this is something I cannot understand. The women and the men, they are equal on the intelligence, and so they are equal chance on that. So for me, it's very difficult to understand why we have this way of masculinization in some countries, and especially in Europe now, in the US, and in some other country, in emerging countries. For me, I cannot understand.
So this is usually a question that we ask at the end of podcasts, right? But I want to start with it because we just mentioned some pain points and some opportunities. So how would a better future look like according to you?
Yeah, let me dream, because the future is supposed to be bright, that we have resources that we can use intelligently, that we have enough power to be able to do that. And we have this impact project saying that we have to save electricity, save the nature, that we have only one planet. But it seems that not everybody is conscious about that the planet has limited resources. And I see around me a lot of people working in this topic, but they think they are just, happy, genius people, but it's not for everybody. So, I mean, the women that are always in charge of everything about the kids, the family, the food, they are much more concerned about this scarcity of resources around the world.
Before we dive in, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like feminism is this huge confusing topic where you don't really know where you fit? If this hits home, you're exactly in the right place. Hit subscribe so you don't miss another conversation where we break down those walls and we find our path together. So the first topic, kind of the general outlook that I would like to, first chapter, I would say, of this interview is why we should act now. And specifically, we're going to be talking about support systems. So, why do you think that a woman that, as you mentioned, has a lot in her hands rather than just doing business and entrepreneurship, why do you think they need mentoring and support spaces, especially today?
So, so I think that, the past time it was, I think about the change of the society in Europe, where you had, a family was a man having to work and giving the money back to the family. This scenario doesn't exist anymore. I mean, in a lot of divorcee people. So it means that everybody have to have a chance. And if you want really to be independent, to work when you want, you had to be an entrepreneur. And entrepreneur means really just you are going to change the world. Because for me, an entrepreneur is somebody that have found a problem and this problem is going to be solved. And a lot of people make no difference between what we call solopreneur, the somebody which just want to do something for themselves. Entrepreneurship is about making something bigger than you. So that's why I always make the difference between the people that just want to deliver a service and the people wanted to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is going to be a lot of impact, changing the world, changing something for better things.
So we spoke about solopreneur. Do you think that applies to everyone?
No, no, it's a mindset. Really, not everybody have the same. You have people that likes to think and people that are unable to, to dance. It's really to be a solopreneur, you really need to be happy alone. And you were speaking about the loneliness. It's about, entrepreneurship is about a team, building a team. Solopreneur, independent people, it's about themselves. And it's a lot of people that are not, for me, I need to have people to speak. I need to challenge my idea. Being solopreneur for me, it's not a life. I just want to discuss with people. People say, no, I don't agree. Maybe we can try something more. So it's really a mindset to be an entrepreneur, just to change the world, to be a solopreneur, just to be myself. And some people doesn't want to take risk or responsibility. They are happy to work for other people.
So, would you share, do you have one, an example of when maybe a support group, so not a sole entrepreneur, but somebody who was supported, changed the trajectory of their entrepreneurship journey? Since you're doing some coaching, as we mentioned, I think that it would be interesting to bring some of your own experiences into the discussion.
So for the first idea I had, it's really a woman that is in Ghana. She's in the north of Ghana, and it's a agricultural community where they produce shea butter. And she wanted to sell this shea butter and say, what is the difference between the shea butter produced in Ghana versus the shea butter produced in Burkina Faso, because it's quite the same area. And then we started to discuss about her culture. And she's coming from the Ashanti region. And the Ashanti region was really in the past a very, very high culture. And they have specific fabric, specific thing. And I say, why don't you put this shea butter in this tissue? And that makes everything different, because on the market, that she's not selling only the shea butter, she's selling the tradition of her country. And that changed everything. Because you cannot say, I want to have bio shea butter and have plastic boxes coming from China. You just need to be coherent in what you do.
So in this case, we're seeing a product that started as the tear butter that then got in a team product with also the producers of the tissue that you were mentioning.
Yeah, because when you buy shea butter in Africa for normal use, they just put it in a plastic bag, and it's just nothing. But if you want to sell it internationally, you have to put something more. You need to have something which is selling, in fact, the reality of the culture, reality of the woman that was working. And in this case, in addition, it's illiterate woman. It means that, they are selling this shea butter through internet, but then we have to develop a very specific website where we have only the picture of the product and the picture of the customer because they are not able to read. So that's something we put more, by the help of the technology. They can sell worldwide without being able to read. And when I say to people, we are making internet websites, but they are illiterate. Say yes, because we change the technology, that it's something that can be used. And one other of my students from Ivory Coast, she also developed an iPhone application where for the same illiterate woman, but in Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, they can just put all the data of their business, but it's not, the data, the figure they know, but everything is just with small icon that they recognize. And for me, that's just, fantastic.
So we can say, in a sense, that here, in this example that you gave us, the peer to peer relationship wasn't coming directly from a person speaking to another person. Together, we create a product, but more, I look at my context around me and I try to create something that resonates in the culture that I'm living in the context that I'm living in, and the sort of support it's coming from an analysis of the place where you are rather than just finding somebody next to you to go along with you in the journey.
when I was giving this as example of the Ghana women, it was the end of a program that the ITC put in place. Due to the COVID, I couldn't travel anymore in Africa, so we decided to make a train the trainer product, train the trainer program. So I was training people in some countries, so in Western Africa, so in Ghana, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire. And then after, these people were training the local people. That's how it came. And we make duo training. So I was coming with the local coach, and we were together by Zoom, and he was coaching this woman. And then how we came that she can do a lot of things much more internationally. That's how it came. It's really the result of train the trainer program, because for him, he went to this woman in the countryside, and then how we came back, trained by me, that we know that we can make something more. It's really, something very small stuff can make a lot of differences.
Well, I'm starting to hear a little bit more about your experience. So I assume you did work with a lot of women in your career, but you also you didn't specialize necessarily with women. Could you tell me if you highlighted any differences in how they approach business?
So when I started with Venture Lab, the university, the Swiss government program, in fact, it was quite no man because it was really technical. And it started by how can we make more women? And what we found is that the women, they never think they were legitimate to say, no, but I have a small product, it cannot make something. And as a woman, I say, yes, but you can. I say, but I don't have the time, my husband will not like it. I have to take care of the kids. And that's how we started to do that. I say, okay, so let's ask your husband, on Tuesday evening, he can take care of the kids so that you can come to the training. And she said, I cannot dare to say, do you want? I call him and then ask. It's just pushing the woman a little more. And for the African and Asian project for the International Trade Center, then I started to say, okay, so from Monday to Thursday, we work with everybody. But on Friday, we only work on women, helping women, the community of women. And that's how it started to have a specific empowerment project for women. Because, entrepreneurship for women, entrepreneurship for men, exactly the same. It's just the way you 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 agree you're a great person. It's always the imposter syndrome on women that say, no, it's not so good, my product is not blah blah blah. It's always thinking that what you do as a woman is not enough, and that changing the view they have on themselves, because I am proud of them, and suddenly they say, if she's proud of me, maybe it's not so bad what I'm doing. It's always doing like that. And after them, they are succeeding, and I am so proud. And I say always, I'm so proud of what you have done. So it's 20 years of experience I have with this woman, and some of them, I am really, really proud of them.
You couldn't see me there for a second, but I was smiling like a little child when you said that, because it was such a good statement that I'm so glad that we're bringing across. And so, would you say, just to follow up on what we just discussed, would you say that women's challenges in entrepreneurship are just purely systemic, or there are a lot of personal barriers as well?
So it's both. When we started with investment with money, if you are, let's say, a woman with a double doctorate in chemistry and physics, and you are looking for, let's say, to $2 million for your startup, nobody will say, but you are a woman. Because, you have your doctorate, nobody is going to say something. If you are, let's say, a normal woman, they will say, oh, you have 2 kids, and who is taking care of the kids? And who is going to take care of the kid? So it's really, the systemic in there that people think that a woman place is to take care of the kids, take care of the husband. And what we have seen 20 years ago when we were starting a project in Switzerland just for the women, we were asking what is the barrier. And what we found, and that was really funny, is that in fact, for a woman, I say married woman with kids, because if you are alone, it changes. But if you're a married woman with kids, what we change is your mother-in-law. If your mother-in-law is positive, then you can start your business, because she doesn't say, oh, you doesn't care of my son, blah blah blah. And we have seen that the mother-in-law, she's really the one that makes the difference for a married woman wanted to start an entrepreneurial career. And that was really funny. And all of them said, it's not possible. But in fact, that most of the time that was that. And of course, the training are on the evening. You have to go to pitch in front of investors during the time that the kids are out to school. It's really a planning problem that you need to have always somebody taking care of the house, of the kids, when you are going to be an entrepreneur. So that's why it's another organization that started, which is called Mompreneur, which is mother with kids. And they are also a kind of, a kind of association that they share together how to be a mother when the kids are awake, and how to be an entrepreneur when the kids are sleeping. But it makes double day.
Would you say that these situations that you highlighted, talking about mompreneurs or mother-in-laws, do you notice anything emotional about entrepreneurship? Is there any emotional toll that goes into the situation on women compared to probably men?
Yes, the emotion is that most of the women, they feel this, what we call the imposter syndrome. I say, I'm not enough good. I'm saying, and if you do something and you are going to to get, let's say, fish and chips from the McDonald's or something like that, you don't cook for for your kids, you feel guilty. So the emotion is what I do, maybe it's not good for my kids. And that's what the emotion is there. So my mother was working, and my son, when I was working, he said, "Oh, all the other mother, they come to school with cookies, and you don't cook cookies, blah blah blah." And just to say, okay, I don't cook cookies, but I am traveling in the US, and I take you the new, the very funny games coming from the US. So it's always just to say, don't feel guilty from what the others want you to feel guilty on. That's where the emotions are there. And then when you have support of other women, or you have support of men that helps you to develop that, then you can start being, let's say, less guilty to start your business.
So you've just been very brave, and you shared, I think, quite a personal story of of what you just mentioned. So if I can be a little annoying and dig a little bit deeper, looking back at your career, is there one of the hardest barriers that you had to break through personally?
Oh, my hardest barrier that I was a widow at 28 years. So it means that for me, it was no way that, normally in my situation, in my generation, you say, "Oh, why don't you stay home?" Because I was widow, so I had to work. So nobody never tell me, "Why don't you stay at home?" So it helps me to develop my independence. And also, due to that, in Switzerland, the law for married women was that I was put under a guardian, because women was not supposed to be able to take care of themselves. So of course my career started as I was coming from university. I was able to have a job that makes that you can have money with that. So that's what makes my chance, and what also makes me always supporting other women, because I had this situation. I had to prove myself. I have to prove to everybody and to my guardian that I was able to take care of myself.
And you did it so gracefully. And oh my God, I got goosebumps. I'm sorry if I'm overreacting, but this story has built you, and has built you also. The first time we talked a few weeks ago, it has also built you somewhat of a framework on how to approach business. So I would like to move to the three pillars that you mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago, which are customer compensation, value proposition, and thirdly, emotional stability. So how did you came up with these?
In fact, a lot of people start by, "I want to sell that." Okay, and people, when I'm coaching, and that, Honorine, people say, "I want to sell that." Say, "I don't care what you want to sell. The only thing I want to understand is which problem you are going to solve." And most of the people say, "I don't know." I say, "Okay, but if you don't solve a problem, it means if it is not a customer problem, then it's no way somebody is going to buy something to resolve a customer's problem." So first, look for a big pain for your customer. And when you have this big pain, then start to have a value proposition which is going to solve it. And of course, if I have to choose between two bottles, which one I will choose? The one where I will find an emotion with the bottle. That's why I say, first, just check the customer needs, the value proposition, and some emotion in it. That's why I put my three pillar, if I can say something like that.
So we have the three pillars, one of them being emotional stability. Can you elaborate more on that?
A lot of people think when something is not working in their business that it is personal. But don't take it personal. It's not you is making a mistake, it's your product which is not exactly fitting the right way. Most of the people say, "I don't succeed because I am not good, blah blah blah." But it's not that. You don't succeed on this thing because the product was not, it was maybe not the good moment, it was not maybe the good fabric, it was maybe not the good material. And you have to make the difference between you and the product you're selling or the service you're selling. And for a lot of people, it's very complicated to make this different because entrepreneurship is like that. So if you are on the top, you go too much, but forget that it's always something that you go down. And when you are down, who is going to help you to go up? So if you just say, it's up and down, but it's moving, it's like going in the mountain. You know that you cannot go in the mountain just straight. You have to turn. And that's where the emotional stability is important because every time it's not working the way you think, stop thinking you are stupid or it's nothing to do, just that the market is not ready or the product is not well designed. It's not about you.
Of course, but entrepreneurship is a multitude of factors, of course, but no idea thrives alone by itself without having a little bit of a helping hand. So, what role do you think community and partnership play into turning the entrepreneurship ideas into reality?
So I'm not sure what you want to understand about community. It depends where we are. So when you're at the university, you have this entrepreneurs club where you can have, a startup studio where people are helping, where you have coach, you have peer, you have a lot of people helping you. And suddenly you are in the real world where these people are no more there. And to find somebody to help you, people that will help you entrepreneur when you are no more at the university, it's quite difficult. And that's when some other type of let's say, when you say this community can happen, people that are sharing your view, like Impact Hub, or what we call, some association like Femmes Chefs d'Entreprise, or a lot of things, or cellules d'entraide, or things like that. It's having a community helping you to develop things when you are in the real life.
Cellules d'entraide is exactly what I was sensing to. I remember we talked about it in our previous conversation. So, do you mind sharing a bit more about what it is?
So I was just checking when it started, but Cellule d'Entraise was created by Lise Cardinal, a femme d'affaires du Québec. She created this Cellule d'Entraise in 1981. And in fact, these Cellules d'Entraide are a club of 13 women, where it's the balance of this club is very important. You have 1/3 of these women, which are, let's say, managers in a company, 1/3 that are real entrepreneurs, and some others which have a business, like a store. And in fact, these 13 women are like a board, for this woman. And you can make, so you go there once a month and you can share something personal, something professional, and the other women are there to help you. So it's always something like that, and that you develop, that it's a safe place where you can have solving a personal problem or a business problem. In Africa, you have in the French part of Africa, it's called a tontine, but it's a little different. They have a kind of jar where they put money every month, and when somebody needs the money, they just crush the jar and they share the money, and we go for another one. So this kind of attitude, this cellule d'entraide where you have a board around you, or when you have a board of women helping you in the money, that makes, this sorority there in entrepreneurship. And that's, for me, it was the discovery of that. We started the cellule d'entraide in 2000 in Switzerland. And for me, it was really a big, big help.
Why do you think this kind of support systems are so effective for women entrepreneurship?
So I will start by a joke. Women, we have always, something personal and something professional to discuss with our peer. And the cellule d'entraide's motto is really that you can share both of it, business or professional, a business or personal. You have a problem with your husband, you have a problem with your kids, you have a problem with your neighbor. Who can you speak about that? If you go in a business club with men, nobody will listen at you. So women are always mixing personal and professional, and that developed this, you know, when you are a woman, you are a project manager because you have to take care of everything in the house. So we have the biggest project manager is when you have several kids. So it's really this mixture of personal and professional that this club is making. So Cellule d'Entraide is very on that. So for Femmes Chefs d'Entreprise du Monde, you cannot share really this personal matters when you are working with this woman because it's a little different. They are present in 65 countries, and it's really about exporting and importing products. And so when you want to go in a country, then the first thing is to know who I know in these countries. And that Femmes Chefs d'Entreprise du Monde, which was created in 1945 in France, that's the help of going international. That changed totally from the Cellule d'Entraide, which are always a local group.
So, if you were to try to pinpoint one thing, what do you think would be the most powerful thing for women to do to each other and to support each other?
Listen, to listen to the people, and maybe you can help, maybe you can't. Some problem, my friends in the cellule d'entraide, I cannot help them. But just for them to have a safe place where they can explain the problem is maybe the first thing that you can do for them. It can be business, it can be personal, but just you have a safe place to speak and to be heard. I was thinking of something. When you explain when you have a problem and you speak with the man is trying to find a solution. And he say, he's trying to find a solution, and sometimes say, I'm sorry, but I can't find a solution. And when you say that to a woman, you don't ask the woman to find a solution. You just want this woman to listen to your problem. That's where the man and the woman react differently when you share a problem. And I was just thinking of that recently.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. It's something that's it's getting more and more told to the male population that when we ask for advice, we ask for advice. When we share a problem, we're just venting about the problem. We are perfectly able to solve it ourselves. We just need somebody to share how we're feeling about it, basically. My next question to you is more again on your personal life, just to have a little bit of a dynamic in dreams for you.
So we definitely said that support alone isn't enough, but you yourself, you also have a pretty unique global perspective. So how would you say that sharing continents shaped your approach?
Just also joking, when I was young, I was thinking, everything was black and white. But in fact, when you travel, everything is infinite way of gray, because something which is impossible in one country is suddenly possible and vice versa. So now I am Swiss. So, Swiss, you have to be on time. When you start to be in Africa, African time is just, something. And that makes my life, when I am in Switzerland, everything is, every 15 minutes, something is done. I want people to be on time. And if they are not, I am angry about them. When I am in the plane and I know I am going to go in Africa or in Asia, I know that my mindset is changing and that I will not have the time. But then the people, maybe they will help you. They will make things much bigger than expected. Because if I am just focusing on time, I am going to lose interaction with people. And that's what we have. And also I was sharing something with the girl. She's coming from Congo. And she just said that what makes the difference when she's working in Congo, she takes much more time with the people to have the relation. And in Switzerland, she's just within the hour because people think that being late or getting more time is something which is not good. So just, to change from perspective about intensity of relation that you develop in other country versus, the square time you give to people that we will have a discussion from 10 to 11 and that's it. That makes everything. And in Europe also, if you are in Germany, that you start with smoke talk, people say, okay, we have to start. If you are in Italy and you just say, let's have an espresso and then we will start the meeting, everybody is happy. So you have this culture and this cultural grand écart that you have to adapt. For me, it makes my life much more easier because what is good, what is bad, what should be done, what should not be done is much more elastic. And for a Swiss person to be elastic, it was not so common.
So if we were to ask the question of what's one lesson that you learned abroad that you wish more Swiss entrepreneurs understood?
So what I would say that, Swiss people, we have a very definitive way of making things. But when you travel, you will find solutions that are maybe much more intelligent than the one you have thought. Just to be open to other way of doing things, and that's something that I learned, and I want to share to the people. Maybe what you think is not the good solution, maybe local people might have absolutely different way of solving things, and you have to listen to them. That's really to be open to new opportunities of solving things.
If today's talk hit something inside, then that's exactly why you should subscribe. Every episode is here to support you, unfiltered, real, and raw. And if you know someone who's on the same path, you should share this episode with them, because from now on, they no longer have to figure this out alone.
So we are gently moving towards the end of our conversation. So I would like to take a moment now before we finish with the questions to ask to thank you. Thank you very much for your time. But don't get set now because I still have a couple of questions to conclude. I just wanted to take the time now. So to conclude, I would like to ask you, looking back at your life, at your experience, what's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
So my younger self is there to ask questions, because the only thing that can happen is that somebody will say no. So that's really something. And now I am able to ask questions, to ask for meeting with people. I will never dare to do that. So and looking for opportunities. What I had the chance in my life. People say, what was your dream when you was a younger? And in fact, my dreams were very small. And the opportunity that was offered to me, it was much more than what I have dreamed all my time. So just listen to the opportunity. And that's what makes, because my life is full of opportunity and is empty of plans.
That was a very powerful message. So thank you for sharing that. And if you were to speak to our listeners now, what questions should they be asking themselves about their journey in entrepreneurship and their place in everything that surrounds entrepreneurship?
So my question is really, what is the problem they want to solve? What is the uniqueness of the problem they want to solve? Find a problem to solve and get it, because that's the best way. Don't try to do something that nobody wants. It's a kind of narcissistic entrepreneur that said, this is what I want to do. And really, what I say to people, I don't care what you want to do. How are you going? Because if you want to do something, entrepreneur, it means that somebody is going to buy it from you. So if you solve a problem, people will be happy to buy this solution. So look, what is the main problem you want to solve in the planet, and just do it.
The last point that I want to bring is one survival tip. If you were to give one survival tip to a young woman entrepreneur that wants to start tomorrow, what should she do?
Interview people, make empathy map, speak with a lot of people about their pain points and what is the way that these people want to solve the problem, because most of the people you speak with, they have already a solution. And every time I say, have you spoken with the people? No, I will speak with them when I have a prototype. Say, no, speak with the people, get outside, speak to everybody. And maybe not the person, and everybody, you're at the station, you are waiting in the line at the supermarket. All these people, they can have opinion on something you want to solve. And that's really that. Speak to people about their problem, about the problem you want to solve. And that's the way you will find entrepreneurship a very fantastic journey, if I can say that.
Thank you so much for being with me today and with us today. It was truly a pleasure speaking with you. And I hope that the experience of the interview was pleasant for you. So I wonder if we should do a closing, if you have something to say specifically.
I have a closing.
Okay, wait, let me put you in full mode.
So my closing, this is the magic wand. Okay, so always believe in your magic wand. And if you want to know where the future is, then you have the crystal ball. This is all what I make it. And my last adjective is that, it's the KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Try to make things that are easy to understand by the people. This is my closing.
Well, I think she said it all. That was amazing. So thank you everybody for watching No Wonder, and see you next time. I loved it. That was so good.
That's really what I use during